Today I will show you how I edited this photo that was taken in my little home studio on a cardboard backdrop, and it's very typical for me to use monochromatic setup, because we've got red backdrop, we've got red bow, and we've got red dress. So let's start with Lightroom, and I will just use very simple settings. So first of all, I will use the option that you've got in your Lightroom, Adaptive Portrait, and I choose Enhance Portrait. I like this preset very much, but some options are too strong. So when we have eyes clearer, I think it's too strong, too wide. I will just reduce it, and that's it. As regards the sliders, I will lower the highlights, move shadows to the right. I will reduce the exposure just a bit, and move temperature towards this cooler side, so that the color of the skin is exactly the one that the model has. And that's it. I will open the photo in Photoshop. And I will use my favorite set of Photoshop actions, Create Portrait or Create, whatever you read it. And this is very versatile. It can be used for portraits taken in the studio, for portraits taken outdoors. Generally, I used it for like 2 years and nothing else. But then I invented some more Photoshop action sets. I will start with cropping, and I have to clear the original ratio. We will add a little bit of space on both sides, and here I choose content aware fill. We don't have to use generative expand, as this is a very simple backdrop, nothing happens there. It looks okay, I think. And now I will just make a copy of background. I will take the patch tool, and there are some spots on the backdrop that I have to erase. Nothing complicated. That's it. Let's flatten it, and maybe it's too tight here. I like to start with the picture having the proportions that are my final ones. When I expanded it on the right, there is I think it's too dark here, so let's make it lighter, and I will show you a very nice way to do it. I take quick selection tool, I select subject, then I click select in inverse, and when I have it selected, I click Ctrl and J on my keyboard 2 times, so I have 2 copies of the background. The upper one will be clipped to the lower one, and now I take a brush It should be soft, let's say 20%. While clicking out, I select the color, the lighter one, and just get rid of this darker line, I would say. It will not affect the subject, so even if I click it here, nothing happens, as you can see. So we can flatten it, and now Ctrl J, and we will liquefy. I need to add some volume to the hair, although they have volume, but I want to make it more even, I would say, to emphasize the curls more. Maybe just expand the bow a little bit more. When you click, when you press P on your keyboard, you see the preview switched on and off. I'm not going to make any adjustments to the face. She's perfect as she is. Let's click OK, and we can flatten it. And now I will work with the face. Usually I start with frequency separation action, but when I have freckles, I want to emphasize them first. So I will choose my action, sharpen freckles. And now with my brush, like, let's say 30 opacity, I will click the freckles and make them more visible. When I have it, I can also, work with the eyes and sharpen the iris and the pupil as well, and maybe a cupid bow. Let's flatten it. And now I will play frequency separation action. And we have here two layers, skin color and texture. On skin color, I will work with lasso tool. Make sure that you have feather like bigger than 0, from 5 to 15. It depends on how big the face is as regards the whole picture. And I select areas of the skin that have more or less the same texture, and go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and choose the radius from 8 to like 15 pixels. It depends on the skin. It will make the skin color more even. It shouldn't affect the freckles. When you click filter, you already have it here, so you don't have to select it again. I don't use it on the nose too much, because the nose is like more visible, it's closer to the viewer. I don't want to blur it that much, but you can see that the color is more even. The change is subtle, delicate, but it's visible. Then I click on texture layer and I choose stamp. Let's choose opacity around 70 to 80, more or less. And now we can correct some places where we have single hairs. Or we have some skin imperfections that haven't disappeared when we were working on the skin color layer. It's very tiny and it's a very delicate area. I'm not even breathing at the moment. Okay. More or less. I have to do it here as well. It's sometimes impossible to avoid such distractions like we have here. But from the distance, I don't think you can see much. Okay. Let's flatten it. And I think I will sharpen the freckles once again. Only freckles this time. Yeah. Great. Now let's flatten it. Then we've got action that is called remove red cast, and I use it very often, especially in winter when you don't have that much of a suntan and natural redness appears on skin. And as I want to have full control over what is red, what it's not, I usually first erase it and then I add it where I want. I haven't erased it from the nose because I like when the nose is just a tad red, and I will also add some redness to the cheeks. But let's do it step by step. So I will flatten the action. And here I've got pink cheeks and lips. Let's play it. As you can see, the color here is pinkish. But we can change it because it is done with a solid color layer. So when you click it twice, it will open color picker window, and you can choose a color that you already have in your photo. And in my case it will be rather red than pink. Okay, we can lower the opacity a bit, and that's it. Okay, let's flatten it, and now we've got the section called light and shadow. You can use any of these actions, you can combine all of them. I will show you how some of them work. You've got the instructions in the message box. Use a brush of adequate opacity to reveal light and shadows, and that's it. Yes, we've got layer with light, and we will paint the light or enhance it. To make it easier for us, I suggest adding black and white layer, and move the slider of reds more towards the left. It will naturally highlight you the places where you should paint with light. This is just auxiliary layer we will erase it in a moment. So light, opacity, let's say 20, and I will paint on the tip of the nose here, Cupid bow under the nose, on the lower lip to make it more shiny, here as well. I'm just doing the thing that makeup artists would do. And as you can see, we cannot omit some other parts of our model, because light and shadow also plays on her hands. Actually, it's easier here because we've got just one hand. Okay, and that's it. It's very delicate, it's subtle. But we cannot forget about shadows. So shadows will be here. It's like giving it extra dimension. Yeah? Have a look. Now, if you feel that this layer, it's just a feeling, but sometimes it looks dirty when you paint shadows, especially when you paint it under the cheekbone. If you feel it is dirty, in inverted commas, I suggest changing the blending mode of this layer from normal into luminosity. But you can only do it with this dodge and burn action, the first one. Okay. You can flatten it, and then I will use the second action, dodge and burn. It's a bit more powerful, it's stronger. So I start with the hair, and I paint all the places where the hair caught the light. It makes it shiny, yes? And then I can also do it with a bow. And then shadows as well. I've got one trick that will help you to decide how much is too much for you. So I usually duplicate the layer of light, Ctrl J, to see if it's okay for me. And usually it is. There are some places like here on the fringe that it's a bit too much, so I'll just take the black brush and erase it. But other than that, it's okay. And I will also add some light to the face here. I'm sorry, my dogs are barking. Okay, so just a little, just a little on the lips, on the cupid bow, just to make it more shiny. Here you also have this very special color. I would say that it's like a blend of green and hazelnut. It makes the eyes stand out more. Okay, so this is what we did with this second action. Let's flatten it. And I also prepared Dodge and Burn that uses a gray layer. So you can use this single layer to paint with white brush, some light, and paint shadows with a black brush, but I don't use it very often. Okay, let's flatten it as well. There is a thing on this bow that that makes me a little bit uncomfortable. So let's try to erase it somehow. I will try with generative fill first. Is it better? It is a bit, but I don't know if I like it. No, not really. Sometimes you spend most of your time doing things that are actually not that important. And sometimes easier solutions and faster solutions are better. Okay, so I will just repair it with my patch tool. Okay, let's flatten it. In this section, skin, we've got delicate blur. I use it when I don't work with freckles. Porcelain smoothness is for portrait when you want to achieve this doll-like skin effect. Now let's move to the eyes. There is a very nice action called Eyes Shining, and I use it on low opacity. Just to add some light to this part of the face. Let's flatten it. Okay. We can make her hair a little bit more painterly, a little bit softer. I don't want to exaggerate with this effect because it looks very artificial, so when I paint it I usually lower the opacity around 50%. Okay, let's flatten it. Okay, and it's very red. The portrait is very red, and sometimes I use this action, quick trick, to add some freshness to the photo. This action puts the layer in 30% opacity. When you change it to 100, you see how different it is, how strong the effect is, but 30% is usually perfect. And even if you don't like it on the whole picture, I suggest checking whether it does good to the face of the model, because it usually does. It makes it more shiny, it makes it more natural, I would say. Okay, so let's flatten it. And we've got some color adjustments here as well, mix and add. I don't think it will work here, but let's check it. It's like cool fresh. It will also look good on the face. Cold matte. It also adds a nice effect. Green, not a fan. Orange teal. Orange teal looks nice here. And we can combine them because the layers are adjustment layers and they work with each other well. So I would add Cold Fresh, but only on her face. Orange teal to the whole picture. Looks great, I think. Let's flatten it. And we've got 4 different options for adding contrast. Glow, basic, add depth, and delicate. And you have to experiment which one you like most. They are usually too strong to use it on 100 opacity, but this is glow. Let's check add depth. It looks okay as well. And delicate. Delicate is really delicate, so maybe I will choose the third one. Okay. Do we need a vignette? I don't think so. I used to incorporate vignette to every photo taken outdoors, and also to some finer portraits, but when I have one color backdrop I usually don't do it. Let's select final touches. This action makes the photo look more crisp, I would say. Let's flatten it, and I would sharpen it a bit as well. Okay, and I will save it. But we can check here what was done. Okay. So I hope you like the effect. These actions are very versatile. I use it for portraits that have this artistic touch, that are more of a fine art portraits. I also use it for portraits taken outdoors. It gives me full control over every aspect of the portrait. Yes, the skin, the eyes, the hair, the lips, the light, the shadow, everything can be done with these actions, and they are already organized in such a way that you work with them from the ones that are at the top towards the bottom when you finish your editing process. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me them, and you will find the actions in the link below. Thank you.